remember once I saw an article in a newspaper, and it was talking about a city center that was being dedicated. And it was a very large community gathering place, and it had a senior center that was very active. It had an after-school program for children of all ages. It also had a daycare, and it had any kind of service that you would kind of imagine in an inner city center, such as that. And there was a woman that was honored at this particular dedication. And she had been a volunteer with this organization for a number of years. Now, the first people that they honored were the large donors who made the building of the new facility possible. You know, they gave very large checks and were very committed to the mission of this organization and what it was about. Then they gave awards and things to different people who were, politicians that supported them, what have you. But the biggest applause came when they gave an award to this woman for her contributions. Because she was not somebody who made large financial contributions. She couldn't. She was not somebody who was a political power. She was just an average person. But she was at the center every day. When it came to the seniors who were there for lunch, she used to try to make sure that all the tables looked very nice, and she would, try to find some flowers or something for a little centerpiece, and she would go around to keep people company, especially people who may have lived alone and didn't have anybody to talk to. When it came to the after-school program, she was always tutoring children. She believed in the importance of education. And she would spend hours helping young people with their homework. She also loved being at the daycare and loved playing with little ones. Even though they would tire her out, it just gave her a great deal of energy. She would give what she could. Now, certainly she gave some financial donations, but they would have been probably something very small, maybe $5 or $10. But she also gave of her time and of her heart. And that made a huge difference. And I think that when we look at our first reading today from St. Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, generosity from the heart is something that he's speaking of. Because he's telling the people of Corinth the importance of their contributing to the well-being of the church. And he mentions the churches of Macedonia, which we've come to know today as the Philippians. And it seems that the Philippians, when St. Paul was at his lowest, he was in jail for preaching the gospel. He was wondering whether or not his mission was a success, wondering whether or not he should be abandoning it and doing something else. This gift came from the Philippians. It wasn't large in its amount, but it was from the heart. And it was something that they contributed, even though they probably really could have used the money in other ways. And St. Paul was touched by their generosity. So touched, he saw the presence of Christ in them and was able to continue the work that he was about. And I think that that's what he's getting at with the Corinthians today. He wants them not to contribute because they should be contributing, but contributing because what they're doing is building up the body of Christ. What they're doing is continuing the mission of Jesus Christ. What they're doing is spreading the gospel. What they're doing is something that's very important. And I think it reminds us of when we're giving of ourselves, not just necessarily charitable contributions, but the ways that we reach out to others, the way that we listen, the way that maybe we spend some of our time doing good for other people, the way we see the importance of being in the presence of Jesus Christ to others. These are wonderful ways that we continue the work of Jesus Christ. And they're wonderful ways that spread the gospel. And we never know how or in what way they may be building up other people and giving them the hope in challenging times. So I think that as we hear St. Paul today, reminding the Corinthian people of the importance of generosity and giving of themselves. And in doing so, when they're giving back to Jesus Christ who did so much for them. It reminds us the importance, whatever way we can give, whether it's through contributions, but maybe more importantly, through giving of ourselves to others, that we continue the spread of the gospel and the mission of Jesus Christ. This is something that St. Paul realized 2,000 years ago, and it's something that is very true and very much needed in our world today.